Welcome. We're here at the Shambra Pavilion on Kona, the Big Island of Hawaii, and we're here for number 7 of the benching series. And welcome, everyone. Glad that you can be here to join us, to be with us, and to just take some good, deep breaths.
Aloha. Good to have you all here from all around the world. We're webcasting today live from the Shambra Pavilion in Kona, Hawaii. Beautiful day here. Beautiful day. We've had a lot of rain, actually, so everything looks so fresh today. I mean, you can kind of see out behind Linda and I into the Hortense garden, and it's just, it's beautiful out there.
It's so humid, my hair just is like, ah.
Yeah, no, it's humid because of all the rain and the heat. But
which is a good thing.
Yeah, we're not going to complain about it. It could be much, much worse. So delight to have you here. We have a lot to cover today, both in the Shambra welcome section and also with Adamus. I know Adamus was, he was a little upset with me this morning. I slept in. You know, he wanted me up at 5. I slept till almost 6 o'clock.
That's big for you.
But he was like, come on, we got things to do. We got a lot to
I
cover
thought you
today.
had it all done last night.
Yeah, but then I get the slides done, but then I have to do the Adamus part. Yeah, and it's like working with him on what we're going to do today. And, you know, I got a few heads up.
You know, sometimes people need to hear this. I don't think they necessarily understand the complexity of your relationship with Adamus.
Incredibly complex, you know.
Incredible.
He's always trying to wake me up.
All the time.
Even when I'm channeling, he's trying to wake me up. So we do have a lot to cover, and delight to have all you here. We've got a great crew and support staff here today making this all possible from the pavilion.
We do.
We also have Peter and Billy back at the studio in Colorado helping to support and doing the Spanish webcast. So
and the weather is decent there, I heard.
Oh, is it really?
Yes,
oh, good,
it is.
good.
It's
Happy for them.
Civilized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to get on with it. Talk about the art of benching. Last month it was number 7 or
Yes.
number six for March. We're going to take a quick look at what we did last month so we could all kind of get up to speed with things.
That was the halfway point.
Oh, that's right. It was. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at the abbreviated version, the Reader's Digest version from last month. Here we go. Today we have all of those who have ever called themselves Shambra, who have crossed over to the other side. They're holding up little signs, little placards that they made. Stay is a popular one. But the one sign that really caught my attention, it says, dive deep. And what that sign means is that it's time for you to really dive deeply into your realization, into staying here on the planet, into going through what you're going through. If you're feeling more and more of these things that are happening on the planet, but instead of running from it, instead of putting on a protective suit of armor, dive deep into it. Dive deep into every part of yourself. And then you realize you're truly a master, staying here on the planet right now, doing what you came here to do, being in your passion. And while you may think, well, sitting on a park bench and just shining my light isn't very passionate, it absolutely is. When you begin to see the effect that it has on everything. You've had the identity for a long time now as a human, of course. And your identity could be masculine, feminine. You could identify with being younger or older. Pretty typical things. You know, you would identify with being wealthy or somewhere in the middle or broke. So you've identified with all these different things. It's a human identity. You've done a lot, all humans do a lot, to build their identity. And then they become very comfortable with it, maybe not liking certain parts, but this is their identity. And then they stay in that. For Shambra right now, that identity is transforming and it's going away. So you're developing a whole new identity, but this identity is fluid. It's flexible. This identity can change from moment to moment, but the biggest thing about it, it's multi-layer, multi-level. It's the and that we've talked about. It's you being a human and a master. The identity is changing, and it's going to feel physically odd at times, and it could change everything from foods you desire to things you thought you liked, which were just part of the identity building, to everything, and it's all appropriate. We're not just changing the human identity; we're going beyond that identity, and in doing so, let's see what else changes about you. Good. Next, with the sirens in the background, it's time to talk about global affairs. There are four major underlying energy dynamics happening on the planet right now. Number one, sovereignty. There's an underlying desire by enough humans on the planet for their freedom and sovereignty that is moving the currents of energy. Next one is truth. Humans are desperate for truth right now. They don't believe hardly anything, if anything. They're looking for something where they can find truth, and ultimately that search will bring them back to themselves. There's a huge dynamic on the planet right now dealing with energy, and I say energy, and that's every different level. Your fuel energy for your vehicles and home heating and everything else. But also, what is energy? And personal energy. And finally, the last one, power. Power has had its day, but it's still trying to hang on. Power is when somebody falsely believes that the energy is outside of them and they have to get whatever they can. Power is on its last legs, so to speak, because humanity is rejecting it at so many different levels. They rejected it at a corporate level a while back, and it had a big impact. They're now rejecting it at government levels and at financial levels and church levels. Those are the main energy drivers, things that are moving the currents of energy on the planet, causing transformation. You can take those and look at any situation on the planet and basically distill it down to those four things. It would be one or more of those elements. What you're seeing right now in Eastern Europe with Ukraine and Russia isn't just about Ukraine and Russia. Don't fool yourself. It's about the world. It's about every world power right now. There's a huge power vortex that's swirling right now over that part of the world on the Ukraine and Russian border. But it's not going to be, it will not be satisfied with just that area. And what is interesting about power is not very smart. Power is powerful, but it's not very smart. It's raising itself up. It's glorifying itself. This power is. But it doesn't realize, it doesn't have the intelligence, the wisdom to understand that just a little bit of light will wash it away, will dissolve it away. People are afraid of power. They say, oh, it's so powerful. Not really. Actually, its weak spot is light. Its weak spot. So what do? We shine our light without agenda. If you're going to agenda, now you're giving power what it wants. It wants bias. It wants agenda. It wants duality. It wants humans to take sides, light and dark. Power loves that. And power doesn't care. It just loves that duality. But it doesn't realize that just a little light and power loses its balance. It starts to wobble and shake, and then it blows apart. Humans in general have come to see lately that they're tired of power. Power trips from their parents, power trips from organizations and businesses, but more than anything, they're tired of power trips from government. Power potentially could come to an end. Continue to shine your light. Whether you do it once a day, whether you just do it once in a while, whatever pleases you, but shine your light, be conscious and aware of it, without agenda, for the world needs it right now, and they want it. Shine your light, and then, later on, look to see how it's affected the planet, how it affects this conflict of power that's taking place right now. Look how just a little bit of light, it has a way of transforming power.
Well, his message was timely, and I'm ready for more today.
I am too, and I think Adamus is, but it was a good reminder of what we did last month, because I kind of forgot. Well, we've had a lot of activities between the last shout and now. We're going to go into recent events in just a moment, but it's been busy around here, very busy. So,
and all over the world.
So recent events at Villa Amio. Let's take a look at what we have going there. And the most recent one was Masters in Communications.
That's right. That was just recently, just 2 weeks ago.
And we have some just random shots of the wonderful time we had. I think we had about half of the people were Europeans, half of the attendees.
It was impressive what they went through and figured out all these clever ways to make sure they were clear so that they could travel. It was quite amazing.
And there's Thomas praying that you will not give him the microphone, but you did give him the microphone. His prayers were not answered in that. But great group. We did a little physical energy moving in the mornings, and and then Mark is like, "Who, me?" Yeah. But it was really a great class. We'd done it one time before, and each time they change and evolve and get tighter, and at some point we'll film this, but what was really good is to understand again what communications are, what energy is, and how a master works with these, particularly going nonverbal. That's a very difficult thing to do.
Oh, there's Natalie.
And doing her homework in between, like she's the only one that does the homework in between. Yeah,
there we go.
And we have a great time just gathering. This is the opening reception the first night. It was
a very rainy night.
Very rainy. So we had it in the house on the lanai, and but we had sunny days as well, and it's always good to gather with Shambra. Of course, there's Belle,
our dear
Villa dog,
Belle.
And she's communicating with Michelle. You notice the deep, nonverbal communications here.
She communicates as well or better than some humans I know.
Yes, she does. Everybody has time to enjoy the beach and getting out in between, and we have a great party one night. This was at the pizza party.
Right.
It was a beautiful night, fortunately. And we go out in the pool terrace and bring in food and just enjoy our wonderful crew.
Once again.
Yes.
Michelle and Natalie and Vanessa.
Yep. And helping out make things run smooth.
And a group shot.
Most of the people, some people had already taken off, but a group shot, and we did get Belle in the shot.
We did.
That's the important part. So that was the most recent event. We have a couple more coming up.
It was a delight to have an event. We've been so limited because of COVID, and to be able to actually really get together with Shambra again and interact is such a treasure. So we love it and glad that so many of you made it. And we've got events coming up that we have a number of people that are also going to be here.
We have a number of upcoming events, and we'll go through these relatively quick, but just know we have room at all the events. This whole COVID thing restricted things for a while. So let's take a look at what we have coming up in the rest of the spring, 2022.
Correct.
Okay. Linda, what do we have?
Time traveling with Adamus. And then this one is very interesting. It hasn't been done before, and so it's the first time. And I think we're all kind of excited to see where that goes. Yeah,
and I hope everybody makes it here, because if they're time traveling and they get the wrong date or whatever, and they're just not going to be available. But we do have some spaces open on that. That's the week after next.
That's right.
If you're tired of the cold and the snow and the world,
this is the place.
Just hop on a plane. Kona has now taken away the mask mandate, and all the weird paperwork you have to do to travel and the testing and all that's gone, unless you're flying international.
And what about the masks? Aren't those off now?
Yeah, no masks.
No masks.
Yeah, you don't see us with masks. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's So anyways, this is a truly, truly comfortable setting, particularly during this time of madness in the world. This is a place to kind of just give yourself a break.
And then coming up middle of the month, we have the Master Code online. We've done this online one time before. It was very, very popular. And basically in the Master Code, Linda and I host it live. So we're here throughout the whole weekend, even though we're playing the recorded footage, but we're still here with each and every one.
The recorded channels.
Right. It's available in 10 international languages, meaning you have access to an e-reader while you're going through it. And basically what we do is we talk about, of course, energy being coded into patterns. And we talk about the Atlantean code that brought us here and now the Ascension code. Right. And it's fascinating. It really helps to understand how all energies are coded. It's very, very interesting. If you're hearing a little noise in the background, we've got a helicopter flying very low. I think they're spying on us. I mean, really low and really close.
Which never occurs, which probably means that it's flying like that because it needs to.
Yeah, or spying on us.
I don't think spying. I think it's
I think that's a good conspiracy. They're spying on us. Yep. And not very good spying if they're using a helicopter.
Wow, Jeff.
Yeah. Anyway, let's take a look at the Master Code trailer, and we'll keep an eye out for that helicopter. If we're not here when we come back from the trailer, it means something really spooky happened. Okay. Welcome to the Master Code. Everything is coded. Everything. All energy is coded. But the moment consciousness is present, energy begins its coding process. Coding means that the energy, in response to the consciousness, not to thought, but to consciousness, is now setting itself into patterns. The energy suddenly gets activated. It's suddenly available, and it creates the illusion of reality. And please, doesn't mean it's false. It's not false at all. But you'll realize it's quite an illusion. And the reality that you felt was so firm and solid and immovable is actually very malleable, very flexible once you understand the whole relationship between consciousness and energy and coding. We're going to specifically talk about the Atlantean code that brought you here. It was the first conscious code ever known to humanity, where a group did it very consciously with an understanding of what they were doing. We're going to be going back and experiencing that, and you'll be re-experiencing some of your Atlantean selves as we do. We're also going to be talking about the Master Code itself. The Master Code is really the passion and the purpose why you're here on the planet. Why it's not worth it stressing about your realization. It has to be there. We're also going to be coding the Ascension Code. This is your gift, one of your gifts, but a very important gift for humanity well after you're gone. Let's go back to Alt. We talk about it a lot in Crimson Circle because it is an important part of your journey, a very important part. And there's a lot of coding tied up in it, and there's a lot of emotions that are part of it, a lot of history. Those who had been part of the headbands, working with the crystals, who had no ill intent whatsoever, felt for the first time this thing called shame. A deep shame for disturbing this balance of beauty that was in all the lands of Atlantis, and you were watching it literally fall apart. This is the real Bandu Shambra. We knew it was time to light fires, huge fires that were attended to for a period of almost 2 years, tended to by at least 100 beings, Atlanteans at a time. We were coding. We were creating the way, the path into now. And that path was coded for each and every one of us to follow, go through lifetime after lifetime, lifetimes that would take us underground when the surface of the earth was burning, lifetimes that would take us from beneath the surface of the earth back onto the earth itself, into lifetimes with Yeshua, into lifetimes where there was the evolution, the birthing of religions, of culture, of music, of art, lifetimes that would take us through wars, lifetimes that would take us through mystery schools, and lifetimes that would eventually bring us to what you now know as the time of machines. It's the Atlantean code. That's always been part of you. That's what's brought us back time after time, and what eventually brought me back to working with each and every one of you. That is the effectiveness of a code. Consciousness, addressing, touching energy. Now we're back here. Exactly where we intended to be. We didn't know the year, we didn't have a title for it, we just knew it was the time to bring divine and human together on this planet in preparation of the new human species, where headbands weren't used. The new human species that would evolve and eventually share the wisdom, share the experience, and share the beauty of life to all the places we now call new earths. It's obvious why you're here. It's obvious.
Hope that you could really fill into the potentials for MasterCode. It's really quite an amazing workshop, and again, we've done it before.
Yeah, we have, and we do surveys of all the workshops live or online. For MasterCode, Adamus got about a 98% one excellent, about 80% said the course was life-changing, and 99% they'd say they'd recommend to other Shambra. I don't know who said they wouldn't, but the numbers are really good. And by the way, we forgot something before.
We have of course, our dearest friend here with us, always at our side, the lovely, lovely Belle, Adora Belle.
We had mentioned the staff and support team here today, and then Belle was we could tell she was feeling bad that she got left out, so we wanted to do the special. She's kind of over here pouting now, just like, fine, I'll just, lay here and
she goes through so much trouble to meet and greet everybody and to protect us all that, we got to remember her.
Yeah. Well, good. Moving on. For MasterCode, we have another MasterCode coming up at the end of this month. We have spaces available in case you're able to make it over. It's really, Mastering Communication. You got all these masters things,
I know.
Master's Life, Master's Pause. You'd think we're a bunch of masters.
That's the whole point.
Oh, right. And then...
and it's acknowledging that, because we are reluctant sometimes to acknowledge that.
Coming up in early May, we have another Time Travels with Adamus. We don't know what it's about yet, because we haven't done one, but I'm sure it'll be...
You can imagine.
You can imagine, yeah. But we do have spaces available. And that puts us into the summer. We're going to be back at the studio in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a number of different events taking place.
And we heard it's not going to snow.
Yeah, right, okay. It snowed up in Coal Creek Canyon one time on July 4th. So who knows? Anyway, here we go. We have the Sexual Energy School.
Sexual Energy School. And as you know, it's the only thing that we require for people to attend live events. And the reason is that over time, our attendees told us they knew who had taken the Sexual Energy School, because those that had taken it manage their energy with such grace and ease that it was obvious. And when others noticed too, that once we started requiring it, that Adamus could feel the balance of energy and he could go that much deeper.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity to take SES, the Sexual Energy School. Once you have had an opportunity to experience SES, your relationships in your life will never be the same. You'll see the world in a very different, clear way, as well as your relationship with yourself.
It is the core Crimson Circle class, truly. I mean, it really helps you understand about your energy dynamics and how other people feed and breaking that old chain. It's not an easy class. I mean, it brings up a lot of issues. The first couple of days are pretty tough, but it does the job in helping you to understand your energy dynamics. And speaking of ratings, overall, over all the years, all the classes we've done, live, online, and everything else, it gets about a 96% life-changing or good positive experience rating. That's pretty high.
And then sometimes we have people that actually will come back to us later and say, I wasn't ready when I filled out the survey.
Right.
And I realized as time went on how much this positively impacted my life. So it is really that strong and has that kind of potential.
Also this summer we have the Threshold event. It's one of my favorites. It's about the dragon, and we're going to be doing that July 8th through the 10th out of the studio in Colorado. We're there with you the whole time, but it is online, of course. And it's really about encountering your dragon. It brings up all the stuff that's really buried within, even things you may not even be aware of, because you consider the lifetime after lifetime of overlays of the stuff we have that's not even in our consciousness. The threshold is a kick in the pants, and as Adamus says, it's the last thing you'll do before realization.
It's a requirement for it.
It really is. So I look forward to that. Always loved it. It's my favorite class in a lot of ways because of the intensity in it.
I'll go take it one step further. I find it interesting that it even attracts people to take it, to take it as a graduate. So
absolutely,
it does have that kind of impact. And again, it's about really, sometimes there are things you just put aside. You decided you just weren't going to do with it anymore. You've forgotten about it. And Threshold offers a new perspective.
That brings us to autumn 2022. I have a number of things coming up. First and foremost, we're going to be doing something that has become kind of an annual thing for us. It is the annual Merlin event. This is going to be called Dream of the Merlin, September 10th through the 11th. It'll be online, of course. If you remember last year, there's just a lot of channels. One of my favorite of all times was channeling Mark Twain. That was amazing. But I know on the lineup we have a number of different things. We have Adamus, Merlin, Cthulhu, his once a year thing. I know Sam will be there for a message and more. Who knows? Adamus hasn't told us yet who the other entities are going to be, but there's always some wonderful surprises.
Always.
It's one of the most popular events of the year, and it kind of replaces what we used to do with the live midsummer type conference.
Right.
Those were awesome, but it took a lot of work, and we were always limited the number of people that can attend. But with this online event.
Okay, so I always get annoyed when people say, oh, that was bad, but it really turned out good. So that's kind of what happened with this. COVID caused us to have to cancel the live, and then so we said, oh, we'll do it online. I don't know what people will think. And it turns out we were able to contact 3 times as many people from all over the world.
Yeah, and we're in our own studio, so the production is smoother and easier. We're able to film it. And
everybody's got a good seat.
No, everybody's got a good seat, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll let you know next month. We'll have a lot more details, and we'll open up registration. But just to let you know, September 10th through the 11th. And there's something special in the works in the background. I can't say much yet about it, but we'll be able to announce it next month.
I'll see if I can twist it
next month. Okay, then coming up later in the fall, back here at Villa Amio, we have a couple of events, all with spaces open right now. We have the new Staying in Grace workshops, October 5 through 9. And then after that, another time traveling with Adamus in late October.
Do you know more about Staying in Grace yet?
I know nothing about it.
Just Adamus is on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They always work out, you know.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
do.
you know, we have the name, and it's kind of we should just call them all mystery schools.
Well, they are, because it's always a mystery until
Which
it doesn't matter what it's named. Adamus goes off, he reads the energy of the audience, and then that's what is.
Well, the
in
most
material.
recent Master in Communications was so much different than the
goodness.
very first one. So, anyway, then coming up in November, we've got another Staying in Grace and another Masters in Communication. Those will all be here at Villa Amio in Hawaii. So that's a lot of stuff going on.
That is a lot of stuff.
Well, now it's time for the Shaumbra News. This is where we get into the details of what's happening behind the scenes. Let's take a look. First and foremost, as always, remember to check out the Shaumbra magazine. That's got all the details, all the workshops, great articles. This month's cover art is by a wonderful artist by the name of Paul Bond. Paul
James
Bond. And he also wrote a great article. I mean, really a brilliant article. So make sure to check it out. I love the kind of I don't know what you call the artwork, fantasy, surreal, head trip kind of artwork, which I do really enjoy. So check it out. It's all in there.
Okay.
Then after that, big announcement.
Keyhawk 12 is open for registration. We're so excited. There are so many of us that just can't wait from session to session to hear whatever the Keyhawk is. The focus on that and the journey for a whole year is invaluable.
I can't believe it's been 12 years. I remember when Adamus first mentioned it, we were at Coal Creek Canyon, and he was doing his walking around and that, and said, okay, I want to really core grouped and really accelerate the stuff. He came up with the name Keyhawk, which basically means like spirit in motion, and we've been doing it ever since. The first year or two were pretty chaotic, you know, trying to organize it, but it runs so smooth right now because Cesa Cortez it was our events manager from Colombia, does an impeccable job of organizing it. And backed up by a good
team supporting her too.
A good team, yeah, and backed up by Alam Bolea. So it really runs smooth, and it's Linda and I love doing it. We do it twice a month, and either here now from Kona or from our house in Colorado. But it's kind of the leading edge of the materials.
Adamus himself says that. I mean, that's where he knows that because you're on this journey for a full year, that's where he dives in deep.
It's
very deep, and he will present something, and you're like, whoa, and then he'll come back, he'll read how that was taken, and then he'll come back and he'll build on it to make sure there's more clarity. He's so, it's incredible, the relationship between the Keyhawkers and Adamus.
Yeah. It's an intense year with Adamus. There's 2 sessions per month, and by the way, you have virtual total access to the sessions. Even after the Keyhawk year is done, you still can access those sessions. And then we also have Living in Keyhawk once a month with Linda and Dr. Doug Davies. They kind of give the human perspective and interpretation. It's really kind of a good analysis of the last 2 Keyhawk sessions, which is helpful because sometimes it goes like way over my head, and you and Dr. Doug break it down into practical things that are understandable.
Well, you know, you hear it, and then you're all done, and it's like, how do you live with that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
What do I do with it? You know.
Yeah.
Also, Keyhawk is available now in 10 languages.
Amazing.
That is amazing. You can imagine the work now after every Keyhawk session. Linda sends the file to Peter, and then the process starts. But getting it translated into 10 different languages, I think usually within about a week.
And it's all audio.
Yeah. So thank you, translators.
Thank you.
Let's take a listen to what Adamus says in his words about Keyhawk. I took over guidance of the Crimson Circle when Tobias departed in 2009. It had become an international organization with a rich library of consciousness materials from Tobias and others. The word Shaumbra had become commonplace, and Coal Creek Canyon, Colorado, was on the map. But before I even tried to fill Tobias's shoes, I felt into the energies of Shaumbra to help understand what I was getting into. I had known many of you in the mystery schools from the 12th to the 16th centuries, but it had been hundreds of years since I'd worked closely with any of you. What did I feel when I tuned into the Shaumbra energy? First and foremost, commitment. A deep commitment on many levels. Shaumbra had a commitment to their realization in this lifetime, a commitment to stay on the planet as embodied masters, and a commitment to leave their energetic legacy for the future of the planet. When I tuned into the Shaumbra energy, I also felt kinship and community. Indeed, many of you have known each other in lifetimes past, but this went far beyond familiarity and even friendship. This was a soul-to-soul awareness, something rarely found even in religious or spiritual groups, especially a group so global as the Crimson Circle. And of course, when I tuned into Shaumbra, I felt the distinctive energy of mavericks, nonconformists, and rebels. Damn be the rules, the rituals, and the righteousness of the spiritual groups you had been associated with in the past. Divine freedom was the holy grail for Shaumbra. It was these very attributes that caused me to come to the Crimson Circle upon Tobias's departure. And it was these very attributes that caused me to create the Kihak program in 2011, after working with Shaumbra for less than 2 years. I saw a core group within Shaumbra that was calling out for more depth, more focus, and a faster pace. I saw a group within the group that wanted to ride the waves. Kihak is all about commitment, community, and nonconformity. When you enter the House of Kihak for the first time at the beginning of each new series, you're making a commitment to yourself for an entire year. This isn't the place for casual observers or hobbyists. You're coming for an intense year of personal transformation and a deep dive into the heart of your consciousness. And I'm committing to be with you every step of the way for that entire year. We gather in the sacred house of Kihak twice a month for what I consider to be the new mystery schools. You've gone from awakening to mastery, and it's time to be in your ultimate passion, being on Earth at this epic time of change as a master. In Kihak, we'll experience and explore physics that go far beyond current science, as well as how to maintain your safe space and balance in the 3D world of time-space, and working with communications of energies and letting energy serve you. When I'm asked about my workings with the Crimson Circle at the Ascended Masters Club, I always lead with what we're doing in Kihak. It's the core of consciousness for Shaumbra, and it's my pride and joy. Kihak, it's what's next.
So, registration is open. We have payment plans available, and graduates do get a discount.
They do.
And they can sign up through when, do you remember?
I don't, but I think it's like June 15th or something. But there's a little bit of paperwork. You have to do an application for it, and then we review that. So, make sure to do it on time. The poor crew always gets slammed at the very end, near the end of registration, with tons of people registering. So if you do it now, it'll help them a lot. And as Linda mentioned, we do have payment plans available. I think it breaks it down into 5 payments. And it's available in 10 languages. Can you name all those maps, Linda?
Almost.
Yeah. Okay, well, that answers that. And again, we go from July 2022 through June 2023.
Right.
It's available now for open for registration. So great. All right, moving on.
What's up next?
Master's Pause. A new Master's Pause just came out. Just a few days ago, and I'm hearing a lot of great comments about it. It is.
Well, the master pauses. Our Adamus takes readings on where we're all at, and then he says, based on what he's feeling, the master pause is something that's meant to support us, to assist us, and that's why he calls it a pause.
Every once in a while, we got to just stop. I mean, it's pretty chaotic. So, yeah, he came up with this.
We need to take care of ourselves, and so we have it.
And the new one is called Master's Pause, I Am Light.
And it's been really popular already.
Kind of ties into everything he's talking about these days. I am light. So a few things about it. He talks about that when your energy gets stuck, your energy gets stuck when you hold your light and you don't let it shine, because that's a natural thing to let it out, but it gets stuck. And it's talking about how really you've earned all this now, and just let that light flow. It's really what you're here for on the planet right now, to let it flow. It is $25 through July 1st, and it's available as a download in video and audio format, plus the e-readers. So we're going to take a quick listen or look at I Am Light recap right now. Welcome to the Master's Pause. I am light. The light can never be extinguished. No matter how low you go, no matter how dark things get in your life, that light is always there, always with you. When we talk about light, light is awareness. When we talk about light, it's not that which should go into battle against the dark, because they're really the same. They are one in the same. And when we talk about being light, you being light, it's about recognizing that constant, everlasting light from within your I amness that's always shining, even when you get yourself into the worst predicaments, even when there seems to be no hope left, there is always light. Always. And that's what we're doing here in this Master's Pause, I Am Light. Allowing that light to come into your life now, not just to remain in the other realms, not behind some closed door, and not just a reflection off the moon, but to allow that light into your life, into your space. Let's take a deep breath right now. Allowing your light to shine, allowing it to open. Take a deep breath and let it flow into every part of your body. Yes, even those parts that are in pain, let it flow into that. Remembering that pain is really just a signal that you're holding back on your own light. Even emotional pain, just a signal that you've turned your back on your true self, on the light that you are, and it's time to return now. I am light. Let yourself feel that marvel of your own light. Never hold back. Never Never hold back on your own light again. It was always there. It was simply you pushing it away. The light is not a magic wand. It's not a new remedy or therapy. The light is who you are. Let's take a deep breath in the light.
Hope you could really feel into that. You know, there's some real beauty in the I am light.
I Am Light, this newest Master Pause, is now available for download in the Crimson Circle store. Again, it's in video, audio, and text. So if you need a pause and you need to just let your light radiate, check it out. Okay, also we want to mention, this is basically a free product, but something we put out. It was Adamus came flying in one Sunday afternoon and said he wanted this recorded, and literally you had the recording equipment set up within 30 minutes. We recorded it. I wasn't really in a mood for it, quite frankly, but
I was able to do it in 30 minutes because the intensity of it was like, don't, just do it, Linda.
And we literally had it out and available by the next day. I mean,
Literally.
it was a miracle how everybody jumped in and got it out. The free product, is called Saint or Satan, and it's a whole discussion about this tipping point for global power right now. I came up with the title, actually, not Adamus, but I thought it was kind of a provocative title.
But he allowed it. I mean, if he didn't like it,
He would let me know. Yeah. But the premise is really talking about a lot of the conflict that's going on in Ukraine and Russia right now, but more so not to look at it as just that, but look at it as this whole power thing that's taking place. And I don't want to give too much away, but Adamus talks about, some of the things that are happening. Is this the act of a saint or of Satan? Which way is it going to go? And that's why it's such an important tipping point right now for all of us, and such a time to be here on the planet shining our light.
Well, when you consider that this is the first time this type of a invasion war has broken out since World War II, and that there's never been a time like this on the planet where, because of the internet, everybody in the world is seeing this.
Everybody.
So it's having a huge, huge impact. And Jeff, you said you didn't want to give it away. You are giving it away. It's free.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. But let's take a listen to a little bit of Saint or Satan. You chose this time. You chose to be here to share your consciousness. I call it the light, but it's your consciousness. It's time for the world to move to a new level of consciousness. And it simply can't be done through ascended masters or aliens, if you want to go that route, or any other beings. It has to be done through the humans, through you. There are those who pray, those who wish and hope, those who hide their head in the sand, and many, many, many of those who take sides. This is not a time for Shaumbra to be taking sides, yet I know it is very seductive. Very, very seductive to want to take sides, to get into conspiracies, and to defend what you believe is your beliefs, defend your country, defend your concepts of right and wrong at this time. But it's not about that. If ever there was a time that we've been together over these years, a time to not get into duality, not get sucked into the sexual energy virus, not to get sucked into any of the other dynamics that are playing out right now, and in particular the power dynamics. this is the time. This is the time when the planet needs it. This is the time for you to come out and shine the light without agenda. Without agenda. We're not talking about winning or losing. It's simply shining a light so the world can see the greater potentials that they have. I call upon all Chambre now to take to the park benches and to radiate your consciousness out onto the planet in the midst of this great and hopefully final battle of power.
It's a wonderful message. It's free. It's for you.
Yeah, download it as soon as you get a chance. And again, a very interesting perspective, Adamus's perspective of kind of what's going on.
And you can share it with anyone you want.
Yeah. And I think it's so important sometimes we just step back from getting caught in the duality, step back from the drama, and really take a look at the overview. And that's what Adamus does, well, all the time, but particularly in this latest offering. It's so easy to get caught in all the stuff that's going on, and that's not why we're here. We're here to stand back and really understand what's going on energetically and shine the light.
Truly.
So, and it's easy to do. Okay, coming up, last thing before we go on break here, every month we do a spotlight. We've got so much stuff in the library that we realized once in a while we'll go back and pull something up that's very pertinent and kind of a classic, but may just have gotten lost in the noise. This month's spotlight is Adamus's beautiful sexuality clinic. This was done back in, I can't remember quite the
it was done in with Soy in Munich, right?
In Munich with Soy, and I think it was like 2017,
yes,
something like that. Anyway, we resurrected it for this month. There's a 15% discount on it. It's beautiful, but it's really about opening up your senses, opening up your sensuality. And as Linda mentioned, there's music from Soy. That was an experience I'll never, ever forget.
Unbelievably.
And it was in Munich at the 2017 conference. There's 4 sessions, and we're going to take a quick look just to remind you or to let you know what it's about. The Adamus's Sensuality Clinic from Munich 2017.
One of my favorites.
When you open to sensuality, when you open your senses, everything opens, everything changes, and you're not going to be in that dilemma anymore. Do I stay here in the physical body, or do I leave? Because suddenly this has a lot of the color of this. We're here in this clinic to allow sensuality. So to experience the and, let's begin. Carlos? The wings of your dreams, the wings of your Atlantean dream will carry you into enlightenment. And what I'd like to do now with the beautiful music of Soy is really allow that. sensuality, life as an embodied master. It doesn't have to be gray, it doesn't have to be flat and meaningless. It can be like soy, like I am so full of joy.
Beautiful, beautiful. I hope you could hear it. It just sensuality, you know, in the most abundant way.
I get the chills and the big smiles just remembering that event. And if you're wondering why these flamenco guitar players were playing away and the audience is just sitting there, it was because Adamus literally asked them just to sit and sense it rather than the cheering and the yelling and the foot stomping. But we forgot to kind of mention it to the band. Well, they didn't speak English anyway, so they wouldn't have known. But I think they were a little spooked at first when they were playing their music, and they're a bar band.
Hundreds of people, and they're just sitting there like
that. But Adamus says, just really feel into it. And then eventually, I think somebody kind of explained it to them, but they were literally a bar band out of south of France. So it was so memorable. Oh, I'm going to go back and watch that whole video. Okay, before we take a break, just a quick reminder that Master's Life 15 is now out. It is Across the River. What's actually in the store, but it's titled Across the River. It is How to Stay on the Planet as a Human and a Master, means both sides of the river.
That's busy.
The river represents the flow of the wisdom of the soul. There's 7 sessions and a lot of marabs. You have 90 days access to it and downloadable music tracks. So
it's a really beautiful experience. You know, we're walking on this journey and trying to be with it, and there's some wonderful information in there where you see things. He gives us a picture of what it feels like and what it looks like. And ever since I've heard that, I constantly find circumstances that cause me to go into that feeling that he set up for us. It's wonderful.
Before we go on a break, very special thank you and acknowledgments to the crew that's here today, running this crew back in Colorado, to all the web translators, the website hosts, the Crimson Circle Angels. Very, very special thanks to the Angels and everybody who makes this possible. It's a huge global team. If you ever want to see all the people that are involved, check out the last, I think it's 4 pages of the Chambre magazine, listing of everybody who's involved in this. So we want to thank you.
It's an amazing community. Thank you so much.
Absolutely amazing. We'll be back in 30 minutes with Adamus St. Germain to see what he's going to have to say.
Okay.
All right. See you in just a bit.
See you in a minute.
Aloha.